Hello and welcome back to vpod.ai.
Yep.
I am honestly so ready to get into this one today. It's a topic that I think haunts pretty much everyone who has ever held a job, tried to get a job, or even just looked at LinkedIn for more than 5 minutes without screaming into a pillow. I'm Mike.
And I'm Susan. It's great to be here. And you're right, this is one of those, universal frustrations that we usually just vent about, but rarely actually analyze.
Exactly. But before we get to the venting and the rigorous analyzing, I have a quick message for our listeners. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Simple as that. So lay it out for us. What's the specific nightmare we are unpacking today?
Okay, so picture this. We all know that one person at work, you know the one, they're highly skilled, they have the experience, they are just driven. They're the ones staying late to fix the code or, rewrite the proposal because someone else messed it up. They're technically the best person on the team.
I can picture them. They're the backbone of the department.
Right. And then promotion time comes around,
Yeah.
the big announcement email goes out, and who gets the job? Not them.
Let me guess. It's the person who spends half the day leaning by the coffee machine, just chatting about sports.
Yes, it's that person, the one who seems half as qualified on paper, who maybe isn't even that great at the actual job, but just happens to know all the right people. It feels so incredibly unfair. It feels like the system is just broken.
I hear that frustration. I really do. And I think that feeling is completely valid when you look at it through the lens of, technical skill equals value. If you think the workplace is a test where the highest score wins, then yes, it looks totally broken. But I want to challenge that a little bit.
Challenge it how? Are you telling me it is fair?
I'm suggesting that maybe we need to redefine what qualified actually means. Because the tension between what we think of as actual talent and networking is huge. And the reason networking often wins isn't because the world is evil. It's because we might be misunderstanding the game entirely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to me, the game just feels like politics. It feels like schmoozing. It's who you know beating what you know.
I get it. But there is a structural logic to it. And it starts with something called the ladder paradox.
The ladder paradox. That sounds ominous.
It's actually quite straightforward, but we often miss it. Think about the common complaint. Why does the person who is best at doing the job not get the job of managing the team?
Right. It seems like common sense. If you're the best coder, you should be the lead developer. You leveled up.
It feels logical, but look at the actual job description. When you're an individual contributor, you are paid for technical output. You're paid to write clean code, to weld metal perfectly. That is your product.
Do I follow?
But as you move up that ladder, the job fundamentally changes. It stops being about the skill you were hired for. The higher you go, the less you actually do the thing you were good at.
So the skills that get you into the job are effectively useless for the job above it.
Not useless, but they become secondary. They become background knowledge. The paradox is that to climb the ladder, you have to shift your focus away from the technical craft and toward politics and resource allocation.
Resource allocation sounds boring, like spreadsheets.
Well, it sounds boring until you realize what it actually is. Resource allocation is fighting for your team to get the new software they need. It's convincing the CFO not to cut your department's budget. It's negotiating with another team to lend you their best engineer for a week.
Okay, when you put it that way, that requires a totally different toolkit. You can't code your way out of a budget cut.
Exactly. You have to influence people. So the person who is networking, chatting at the coffee machine, building alliances, they aren't wasting time. They are actually practicing the specific skills needed for that higher level role.
That is actually kind of a hard pill to swallow. It makes sense, but I hate it. It's like the sports analogy, right?
Yeah.
The best player on the team doesn't automatically make a great coach.
That's the perfect analogy. In fact, think about the truly great players. Sometimes they make terrible coaches.
Why is that?
Because they can't explain how they do what they do. They just do it. A coach needs to understand psychology, motivation, strategy, how to manage egos.
So if we reframe it, networking isn't just schmoozing. It's proof of competence for management.
Precisely. A lot of people dismiss networking as kissing up. But if you strip away the cynicism, networking is just another word for relationship building. And relationship building is the absolute foundation of leadership. I mean, think about what a leader actually does all day.
Well, in my experience, they sit in meetings and tell people what to do.
Bad leaders do that. but effective leaders. They influence. And real leadership is being able to influence people without using reward or punishment.
You mean people follow you because they trust you, not just because you sign their paycheck?
Exactly. So let's go back to our quiet genius in the corner, the one with headphones on, just cranking out work. They might be a technical wizard, but they haven't demonstrated that they can influence a single soul.
They're a high-performing engine, but they haven't shown they can drive the car.
Right, whereas the person with the network has actually demonstrated the necessary skill for the management job. They aren't faking it. They are showing they can navigate the human element.
That makes sense, even if it still stings a little. But speaking of the quiet genius, there was a story that I found absolutely fascinating. It really flipped the script on what talent means. It was about a factory welder.
Oh, I know the one you mean. This is such a classic case study, the toxic genius.
Yeah. So let me set the scene because this really drove the point home for me. There's this welder at a plant. And technically, just looking at his output, he is the absolute best, a total pro,
But there was a catch.
a huge catch.
Mm-hmm.
He was described as an ego-heavy dick,
Very descriptive.
but accurate,
Okay.
apparently. He made everyone miserable, complained constantly, belittled people. He created this atmosphere of tension. Eventually, he didn't get a promotion he wanted, probably because nobody wanted to work for him, and he quit on the spot.
Now, in a traditional view, this should be a disaster. The department should fall apart without their star player.
Exactly. We can't lose him. He's the only one who knows how to run the machine perfectly. That's the fear.
But what actually happened?
The department was short-staffed, they were down a man, yet they broke production records 3 days in a row right after he left.
This is such a powerful example. It highlights something we often ignore: the cost of friction.
Friction, you mean like social friction?
Yes, that welder's talent was a +10, technically, but his personality was a -20 on the social ledger. He was causing so much anxiety that the total output of the team was suppressed.
So once he was gone, everyone else could actually breathe and work better.
Exactly. And this leads to a realization that managers know, but job seekers often forget. Talent isn't just technical output, it's also about being low maintenance.
Low maintenance. That's a
Oh.
huge factor. Nobody wants to manage a diva, no matter how good they are.
Right. And this connects back to why who you know beats what you know. From a hiring manager's perspective, the #1 goal isn't always find the absolute genius.
But job descriptions always say they want a rock star.
They say that, but what they actually want is risk mitigation.
Risk mitigation, you mean they're just trying not to screw up? That feels uninspiring.
It might be, but it's reality. Think about it. Hiring a stranger is a massive leap of faith. Resumes can be exaggerated. Interviews are just performances. You don't really know who you're letting into your building.
That's true. You don't know if you're hiring that toxic welder.
Precisely. So managers prefer the devil you know. If a colleague I trust says, hey, I worked with her at my last job, she's solid, she's normal, she gets the work done, that endorsement is worth more than a PhD on a resume from a stranger.
They're looking for someone they trust won't be a disaster.
Yes. There's a great quote about this. Talent doesn't shine in the dark. If no one knows you, they can't assess you.
Okay, so we've established that networking isn't just fluff. But I have to ask on behalf of the listeners who are hearing this and groaning, what if you're an introvert? What if you hate politics? Do we all have to become extroverted party animals just to get a raise?
I'm so glad you asked that, because this is the biggest myth of all. Networking does not require you to be the life of the party. It doesn't require you to be fake.
Go on, because fake is exactly what it feels like to a lot of us.
It shouldn't. Networking is a practicable skill, not a personality trait. You can engineer it.
That reminds me of the dossier strategy. This was honestly my favorite part because it was so tactical.
It's brilliant. Tell the listeners what they did, because I think this changes the game for introverts.
So this person who shared their experience, they have autism, and they admitted they struggle with social cues. They don't naturally get the schmoozing thing.
And for many people, that anxiety leads them to just withdraw.
Right. But this person didn't withdraw. They systematized it. They literally created a cheat sheet, a dossier on their colleagues. They would write down small details like, Bob's kid plays soccer on Tuesdays, or Sarah's really into heirloom tomatoes.
It sounds almost like a spy movie, keeping files on people.
It does. But then before they interacted with those people, they'd check the dossier. They'd glance at the notes and say, hey, Bob, how was the soccer game on Tuesday?
I absolutely love this example, because some people might hear that and think, oh, that's so cold and calculated. But I'd argue it's the opposite. It's incredibly caring.
Right. They cared enough to make an effort, even though it didn't come naturally.
Exactly. They treated kindness and consideration as a discipline, not just a feeling. And the result was that people felt seen. They felt valued.
And that's really what politics is at its core, isn't it? Just being a decent human being that people want to be around.
It is. We spend 40 plus hours a week with our colleagues. The likability factor is a major job requirement.
It's the airport test.
The airport test.
Yeah. If you were stuck at an airport for a 6-hour delay with this person, would you want to kill them?
The airport test is scientifically valid, and honestly, a lot of talented people fail that test.
So let's pivot to the logistics of getting hired today. I mean, you send out a resume online, and it feels like throwing a paper airplane into a black hole. Why can't we just rely on our resumes anymore?
The problem is noise. The sheer volume of applications today is staggering. A single job opening gets hundreds, sometimes thousands, of applicants.
I've seen that. Over 200 applicants in the first hour? It's so discouraging.
It's impossible for a human hiring manager to vet everyone. They physically cannot read 2,000 resumes, so they use shortcuts.
And a referral is the ultimate shortcut.
Exactly. If I have a pile of 300 resumes from strangers and a separate pile of 3 resumes from people referred by employees, which pile do I look at first?
You look at the pile of 3 every time.
I look at the pile of 3 because, again, it comes back to trust and risk mitigation.
It's like choosing a movie on Netflix. You can scroll for hours looking at titles, and you still can't decide.
The paradox of choice. We've all been there. You end up watching nothing.
Right. But if your best friend texts you and says, dude, you have to watch this new sci-fi show, you stop scrolling and you just hit play.
That is the perfect analogy. The resume pile is the endless Netflix scroll. The referral is your friend's text. It cuts through the paralysis.
It feels like cheating when you're on the outside, though.
It does feel that way, but from the company's perspective, it's just efficiency. They're trying to solve a problem with the least amount of friction and risk possible.
So if you are sitting there polishing your resume for the 100th time, hoping that changing the font will make the difference.
You might be wasting your time. You're optimizing the wrong thing. You need to be optimizing for visibility.
Which brings us back to networking. But you mentioned something else, the idea that who you know is actually a proxy for who trusts you.
Yes. This is crucial. It's not about collecting business cards. It's about building a reputation. There were people saying things like, I haven't applied for a job in 15 years.
Yeah, that guy who said he just moves when his old colleagues move.
And that sounds lucky, but think about what it implies. It implies that every time he worked with those people, he delivered. He was reliable. He built a brand of trustworthiness that traveled with him.
That's the ultimate form of career security.
It is. Business is a team sport. It is done by humans for humans. You cannot subtract the human element. And this leads to a really important point about the future.
Oh, right. The future of work. The machines are coming.
The machines are coming. We are entering an era where hyper-specialized technical skills are increasingly being automated. AI can code. AI can write copy.
So the actual talent part we talked about, the hard skills, the coding, those are the most vulnerable.
In many ways, yes. If your only value is, I can do this technical task faster than anyone, you are in a race against a computer that you will eventually lose.
That is a terrifying thought. So what do we have left?
We have the human stuff.
Yeah.
What can't AI do? It can't go out for coffee and build a genuine bond. It can't read the emotional temperature of a room and de-escalate a conflict.
So the soft skills, the networking, the emotional intelligence, the politics, those might be the only future-proof skills left.
Exactly. The human ability to connect and manage relationships might soon be the only talent that truly matters.
Wow. So the meritocracy myth isn't that merit doesn't matter. It's that we've been defining merit wrong this whole time.
And part of helping the team succeed is being visible, being trustworthy, and having the relationships that allow you to get things done.
The work speaks for itself. I feel like that is the lie we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of putting ourselves out there.
It is. We want the world to be a pure meritocracy of output because that feels safer. But the world is subjective, it's messy, and navigating that mess is a skill in itself.
You know, this has really shifted my perspective. I came in thinking about the poor guy who got passed over. But now I'm thinking, maybe the guy who got the promotion actually earned it.
It's possible. And for the person who got passed over, the lesson isn't the system is rigged, so give up. The lesson is you were playing with half a deck.
I love that. You need a full deck. That's a great visual to keep in mind.
And remember the dossier. If you don't have the social cards naturally, you can learn them. It is a practicable skill.
So to all our listeners who are feeling frustrated, stop shouting into the void. and start talking. Go have that coffee. It's not fake. It's the job.
It is the job, and honestly, it's the best part of the job if you do it right.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for breaking this down with me today.
My pleasure. Always fun to dig into the human side of things.
And to our listeners, I want to leave you with one final thought. If you're sitting there thinking that office politics is beneath you, just ask yourself, are you speaking a language that nobody in the C-suite is listening to? Because you might be right, but being right doesn't get you the promotion. Being trusted does. Thank you for listening to vpod.ai. We'll catch you on the next one.